Battlegrounds isn't easy. As a result, there's a chance that you aren't very good. Or maybe you are, I don't know. But here I've compiled 10 tips, just general tips to help you get better at the game. My name's Proximity, and you're watching Battle Royale Guides.
This is a fucking mini Uzi.
Oh, I shoot him! I got him! Before I get into this list, I just want to mention that it's in no particular order. The number 1 tip isn't anything more important than the number 10 tip. It's just 10 general tips. So keep that in mind as we're going through this. But let's get into the list here. My first tip is going to be to stop F looting. And what I mean by F looting is hitting your F key or whatever you have mapped as your action key to pick up loot off the ground. This isn't always something you shouldn't do. I mean, I'll grab a painkiller if it's by itself. I'll just go ahead and, just grab it with F. But for the most part, you're going to want to tab loot, especially early game. If you're scrambling to try to find a weapon, you want to make sure that you pull up your tab menu so you can be precise, get everything you need, because if you don't, it's inevitable that you'll end up grabbing something that you don't want, and it'll cost you your life. Alright, my next tip is going to be that your ears are your best friend, and what I mean by this is Battlegrounds does a great job with directional sound, and this is especially relevant in first persons. If you're using a headset, go ahead and crank that sound. You can hear people's footsteps from super far away. You can tell if somebody's in the upstairs of a building that you just entered. You can literally predict when somebody's going to challenge you from around a corner. It is super useful. If you're not using sound, you need to start because it is bound to help you. My next tip is going to be to lean it out. So use that lean mechanic in every situation possible. If you're fighting people in the woods and you're behind a tree, make sure you use that lean mechanic. If you're trying to just peek out to get a quick shot with your sniper, use that on the corner of a wall, whatever it might be. It just keeps you as a smaller target and obviously puts you at an advantage. If you think it's a little bit awkward using the Q and E keys to lean left and right, which I personally did, I mapped the buttons to my mouse. I have a gaming mouse with some extra buttons on it, like most gaming mice do. So if you have those options, just go ahead and map those buttons to something that makes sense in your head where one is left and one is right, and it'll help you tremendously. My next tip is going to be to utilize fire rates. If you're anything like me, when I first started playing this game, for about the first month, I wouldn't use the fully automatic function on any weapons because I felt like the recoil was really hard to handle. But I'm telling you, I'm encouraging you to try to get that down because it is so helpful. It is going to help you in so many gunfights. If you're not using it, make sure you are on all weapons that allow it. Just, use your different fire rates. If you're using an M16, the burst fire is really good for close range. I really recommend hitting the crouch button while you're trying to, use your full ADS to shoot at people. It really helps you manage the recoil, and it overall is going to help you a lot in a lot of situations. My next tip is going to be to do not be afraid to play aggressive. And now this is especially relevant in first persons where people can't sit behind a tree and get all the information in the world like they can in third person. They can see everything around them, and in first person, you're stuck behind a tree, you have to peek out to get information. But if you have somebody weak that's hiding in the top of a building or hiding behind a tree in first person, just rush them. Don't give them a chance to heal. Don't give them a chance to get their health back. Just run at them. You have the ball in your court in that situation, and just play aggressive. It's going to help you get those kills and not let those people get away. My next tip is going to be to try to find a place where you like to land. Now, on each map, there's really hot spots where people like to land. There's places like the school or the military base or Novo. I can't remember the name, Picado, I believe it is on the new map. That's like the new school, basically. That's always going to have a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that's where you have to go. Find a place where you like to go. Find something that fits your playstyle. If you want to land in one of those hot places and be aggressive right off the rip, that might be the way you want to play it, but you also have the option to land a little bit more on the outskirts and loot up slowly. Just depends how you want to play, but don't feel obligated to go anywhere just because that's where everybody else goes. Holy shit! Dude! My next tip is going to be to think first, shoot second. Now, this applies in multiple situations. It could be that you're out in an open field and you see people, and you might not think it's the best idea to shoot at them yet, because then if they turn around, you won't have any cover to get to, and vice versa. If you see people out with cover that are running and they don't necessarily see you, try to wait until they might run past all their cover. If they're running through a field, wait till they run past that rock to start shooting. That way they're out in the open and they have less of a chance to get away. Just think first and then shoot second. Next on the list is bad prone habits. Proning seems to be the knee-jerk reaction from people when they start getting shot at by a unspecified location, but it's rarely the best thing you can do. If you're out in the open in tall grass and there's no cover, maybe then proning is the best thing for you to do, but most of the time, it's better to keep your head up, run like the wind, and try to get to the closest cover you can. But try not to run in a straight line. Oh my god! My next tip is going to sound like an obvious one, but it's to prioritize the safe zone. This is really especially relevant in late game because late game you can get caught up in a gunfight, and before you know it, the blue's already moving again, and the late game blue if anybody's played this game, you know it doesn't mess around. It'll kill you super fast. So when you get into the late games in the top 25s and stuff, I always recommend moving to the zone first before you do anything else. Try not to take fights if you don't have to, and if you can, make them quick because you have no time. If you get in the zone, you can relax. The blue is unforgiving in late game. And my last tip for this video is that you might be using vehicles wrong. Vehicles are super loud in Battlegrounds. You can practically hear them from the other side of the map. And during the late game, you really want to ditch those because it's just going to give away your position. You're going to basically put a beacon or a target on yourself and everybody's going to be looking at you. So I always try to, use them if I have to get across the map for the first couple zones, but I try to ditch them as early as possible because it's just extra noise, extra attention. Everybody's going to want to try to kill you. That's going to do it for this list, guys. I hope you found some of these tips helpful. If you did, make sure you give the video a like and go ahead and subscribe for more tip videos in the future. My name's been Proximity. I will see you guys in the next one.